The December 14, 2021 Liquor Board hearing is now in session. The board now has all meetings transcribed, which serve as minutes of the hearing. The board keeps such minutes stored electronically, and they're available to review by calling the board for an appointment. I'll now make a motion that the transcripts of the previous board hearing held on November 18, 2021 be accepted as the board minutes for that date, and I ask for a second.
I second the motion.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's carried. I'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Praley.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jimmy Praley. I serve as counsel to the board. At the beginning of every meeting, I make a few brief announcements. The first is that the commissioners before you tonight are part-time public servants. They have other outside interests. When they know that they have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest, they recuse themselves. However, they can't possibly know who's going to appear before the public on any given matter. So if anybody believes that any commissioner has a conflict of interest with any matter, you have to announce that before you, or when your case is called, and then the commissioner or the commissioners, as the case may be, will deal with that appropriately. If not, we'll move forward under the supposition that there is no conflict of interest. Secondly, the rules of this board provide that the chair, for the purpose of administrative and judicial economy, can have the board's counsel rule on the admissibility of evidence and objections if counsel are present and objections are made. This board handles many cases at every hearing, so that assignment allows us to expedite the hearings. So in some cases, rather than the chairman turning to me advising the chairman, I'll simply make a ruling, and my ruling will be that of the chairman of the board. Additionally, all exhibits that have been submitted have been accepted. The board has all of them. They have reviewed all of them. And with that, I will turn this over to our Chief Inspector, Wayne Harris, who can call the first case. Inspector Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Praley. Wayne Harris, Chief Inspector. First case would be West End Sports, known as CHW LLC. Gregory Walling, member. Matthew Walling, member. Inspector Alan Levy. Please come forward. You can have a seat. There are only one restriction, dated 3/13/2007, for on-premises only. Change of officer, change of trade name. Currently, Mark Champlin, and managing member Carrie E. Gardner, Champlin, member, and Matthew Hoskins, member on behalf of CHW LLC, trading as West End Grill, 2049 West Street, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401. This is a Class B license, beer, wine, and liquor, with music and Sunday privileges. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please raise your right hand. Okay. Do you solemnly declare to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Gregory Walling. Where do I live? 801 Kingsley Street Drive, Davisville, Maryland. 235.
Thank you, Mr. Wallings.
Matthew Walling, 401 Martingale Lane, Arundel, Maryland, 21012.
Okay, thank you both. Mr. Praley?
All right, thank you, Mr. Harris. Gentlemen, this is your opportunity to present your case to the board, so we'll turn the floor over to you and let us know what you're seeking.
I was told it's a simple change of officers, and I've been there since 2007. We have been running the business for almost 15 years now. I think our record's pretty good since then. We've had no issues at all. We're going to continue to run it the same way. We've had bartenders in all tips class trained. They've been there for the same time as me or more. They've been there for 20 plus years. We have a good staff, and we have a good community that comes in. So we'd like to continue.
Okay. Is there anybody here, Mr. Aronson, from the public who wishes to speak on this one? Nobody. Okay, thanks. Thank you, sir. We'll turn it over to the board to see if they have any questions. Mr. Chairman, any questions?
No questions.
No.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Snoops, any questions? All right. Gentlemen, anything else you'd like to add?
Oh, thank you.
Okay. If there's no additional...
I'm not supposed to say a word.
That's acceptable. Turn it over with that.
Rodeo, sir.
With that, we'll turn it over to the board for deliberation.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make a motion that the change be made.
Thank you.
And I'm looking for a second for that.
I second that motion.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. You're excused.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I said many times, but anyway.
Okay. The next case, Staples Corner Liquors, known as Staples Corner Liquors, LLC. Amar Havsar, managing member. John Fisher, member. Inspector Liam Benton. There is a restriction on this license dated 5/1/2016 for entertainment license for multiple TV privileges only. This is for a transfer. Currently,
Am I allowed to waive reading? Because I do have a preliminary matter that I need to bring up since my applicant and client has forgot his license and he's being detained by the security guards at the foyer. So I can't proceed until he's actually here. I would greatly appreciate any assistance the board could give me in getting him through security. He does not have weapons on him. They have scanned him.
Do you need bail money?
I don't think it's gotten to that point yet, Mr. Chairman, but we'll see. And I apologize. It's not my practice to detain the board and delay proceedings, but I will say I asked him quite a few questions, a battery of questions. Whether he had his wallet with him was not among the questions I just asked him.
It's that one question you forgot to ask.
It's always that one.
I think Chief Inspector Harris is going to go outside and see if he can assist. So we'll just...
If you'd like to call, I guess Mr. Harris has got to call the cases. But
Here's his identification.
hey, good to see you again.
I guess. Good, there he is.
Thank you.
His license.
should I continue reading?
Yeah, I think, did you waive?
We will
did you
waive reading. That's
All right.
fine.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman.
And thank you, Chief Inspector Harris.
All right, anybody wishes to testify for or against, please raise your right hand and leave it raised. Okay, do you solemnly declare that you're about to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record. We'll start with you, sir.
John Fisher, 742 Holly Drive, Annapolis, Maryland.
Amar Bafsar, 3907 Emblem Corner, Bowie, Maryland, 20716.
Thank you.
J.T. Bavsar, 2306 Turnbridge Court, Crofton, Maryland, 21114.
Okay, thank you all. Mr. Fraley.
All right, thank you, Inspector Harris. Mr. Lyman, we'll turn the floor over to you at this time. You can present your case to the board by way of proper testimony or a combination of both.
Sure. And again, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners, for your indulgence. My name is Brian Lyman, L-Y-M-A-N for the record, and I represent the applicants before you tonight. We're here for a corporate change, if you will. There's an equity transaction that should be in the works here if the board sees fit and proper. I'm presenting Mr. Amar Bavsar. He is seated directly to my left side. You may have noticed that he gave an address in Bowie as his address. He has moved in with his parents who just recently moved from Pennsylvania, and we will update and correct the address in the board's files as soon as practicable and provide with the board with an additional ID when he obtains one from the MVA. Mr. Fisher is already a fit and proper person and a licensee before this board. The current licensee before this board is I don't want to say that he's absentee. He is active in the administration of the business, but essentially he's a resident of Tampa, Florida. And what we propose is swapping in Amar Bavsar into what they hope to be the family business. Seated next to him is his sister, who's going to be the main manager. Her name is Jayati Babsar. She is 24 years old and has been a manager at this store under Mr. Patel for about 2 years, as I understand it. The Staples Corner operation has been a clean operation since Mr. Patel became a licensee before this board in 2019, and Ms. Babsar has had a hand in that. She's been the primary manager of this store, and there have been no violations at the establishment. This is a Class D license. I've quizzed and gone over the board's rules and regulations with Mr. Babsar, and he understands that this is a privilege and that he's got serious responsibilities, and that the board has some reservations about granting a license to a young man who may not be able to consume alcohol. But I think that the regulatory regime does allow the board the power to grant the license to an underage person. The statutes, I believe, make it clear, and I've documented to the board in my letter, and I would ask the application and my letters be made part of the record tonight. There's nothing besides his address that needs to be updated in the record. Is that correct, Mr. Babsar?
Yes.
Okay. And fundamentally, we're at a situation where we're trying to save some administrative steps, essentially. Mr. Babsar's father suffers from polio. He's disabled, and he's loaning Mr. Babsar the purchase money to buy the equity interest in the LLC, should the board approve him as an applicant. We are cognizant of the board's rules and regulations as to the presence of someone who's under age 21 on Staples Corner premises. And the plans are that there'll be a manager on site at all times when Mr. Babsar is there. He's not allowed to act as a stock clerk. He knows that. We've gone over that in detail. I'm sorry, he's not allowed to act as a packaged good clerk. He is allowed to act as a stock clerk. And he has been working as a stock clerk at the store for about 2 years here as part of basically what they hope to be a family business enterprise. He's familiar with the operations at the store. This store has growler service and actually offers the sale of individual beers from the taps to customers under their Class D license. And there's a small seating area with 4 seats. Mr. Babsar understands that he's not to serve alcoholic beverages. The Staples Corner Liquors does not serve food, but they do offer the sale of those alcoholic beverages under the Class D license. There will be no changes to the operation of the store. They're going to keep everything as it has been without any violations. And certainly Mr. Babsar is cognizant of the board's issues and potential reservations here. And I'd be happy to have you ask him questions about the board's rules and regulations and to test his knowledge to make sure that you believe he's a fit and proper person. Other than that, I will say he is a fit and proper person. He's not been convicted of any felonies, and he's appropriately answered all the questions on the board's application, I believe. The only thing I need to supplement is that he has been TIPS and TAMS trained, and I don't have that certificate. It's on display at the store, however, and I will get the board a copy of that. With that, I'd be happy to try to answer any additional questions that the board may have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lyman. We'll turn it over to the board to see what types of questions they might have. Mr. Chairman?
I have no questions at this time.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
No, I have no questions at this time.
Commissioner Snoops, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Mr. Lyman, anything you would like to add?
Hearing no questions, I would just like to add that and reiterate, I guess, for this record, that arguably the board needs to grant him special permission to be on the premises under its rules. I believe the site is 4.01D, the exception to the rule that allows him to be on a Class D license premises, and to grant him special permission to be on the premises without his parent necessarily there. His plan is to have both his sister and his mother act as manager, and they'll be active in the operation of the store. And they do live in Bowie and would be a local connection. Mr. Fisher is going to stay on the license as the local qualifier, and that's all I have to add.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lyman. With that, we'll turn it over to the board. Mr. Chairman.
Okay, my feeling on this is that he may be a fit and proper person. There's no question about that. But at this point, I am not willing to make that exception as far as changing our rules with regard to your request, Mr. Lyman. The other commissioners may have other ideas, but I'm just floating my thoughts out first. And I would have thought he would have had his security identification before coming in here, but that's something else. But that's all I have to say.
I concur with the chairman in reference to making an exception to the rules and the regulation. And the law clearly states that with a Class D licensed individual cannot be on the premises. And so I concur with the chairman in that we don't make an exception to the rules and regulation regarding this particular issue.
I have the same feelings, that I can't see making the exception.
Okay. Seeing that we have, I'll put together a motion that we deny the transfer, and I ask that for a second.
I second to deny the transfer.
Okay, that is second. Any discussion further? Just
No.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion has been granted and the transfer denied.
Denied.
Okay. Calling the next case.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. But we're skipping you this time. No. This is Clarion Hotel, BWI, and I'm going to call everybody up who wishes to testify in this case, for or against. Please come forward, have a seat, and raise your right hand for the oath. Okay. Okay. Do you solemnly declare that you're about to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Shamsul Abdin, 132-39 79 Street, Urdon Park, New York, 11417.
Shaheen Ahmed, 3261 47th Street, Astoria, New York, 11103.
Okay, Mr. Fraley, this is the new license for Clarion Hotel.
All right, thank you, Inspector Harris. Ms. Carter, you know the drill. You can present your case right now to the board by way of proper testimony or a combination of both.
Thank you. With the board's permission, if I could proffer.
That would be lovely.
I'm sure that the board is familiar with this property. It is parallel to Route 100. It's often referred to as the BWI Clarion. This property was previously licensed, and my clients were actually part of the prior ownership of the hotel. With the passage of time, the partnership decided to dissolve, and my clients, along with the partners that are disclosed to you in the application, purchased the property for $7 million. They wanted to start fresh, so they let the license die, and they're coming before you tonight for a new license. There had been no significant changes to the hotel in the past 5 or 6 years, probably. This property, the hotel itself, is 81,500 square feet on 4.6 acres. It has 130 bedrooms. It has a variety of conference rooms. The largest ballroom is 3,234 square feet, which can accommodate 400 guests. There's another one for 1,550 square feet that accommodates up to 200. Then there are 2 smaller rooms that can each accommodate 130 guests, and they come in at roughly 1,200 square feet each. The restaurant is currently closed. The ballrooms are not active, in part because there's no alcoholic beverage license, and Clarion, as part of its franchise requirements, does require that a Clarion have a full beer, wine, and liquor license, which is why my clients are before you today. The restaurant, as soon as this license issues, hopefully, will reopen. Its hours of operation will be 6 in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon. It'll close briefly. It'll reopen at 4:30 in the afternoon and stay open till 2 o'clock in the evening. There will be food, hot food available at all hours that alcohol is being sold. And my clients, and this was on them and not at my request, will not be opening the bar, though, until 11:30 in the morning. They don't want early morning drinkers. I think the board knows this property well. I can continue to talk. We provided you with an exhibit book, which was previously e-filed. This has the floor plan. It also has pictures that are actually representative of how the hotel looks today, including the Christmas tree. Board's witnesses, any questions, please?
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Mr. Chairman?
No questions.
Commissioner Duffy?
No questions.
Commissioner Snoops, any questions?
No questions.
All right. Looks like you might get off easy. Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, I'll make a motion that we grant the new license for the Clarion Hotel, and looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you so much. And I promised Commissioner Duffy and Inspector Harris that I would make it quick.
And you did, for a change.
It's much easier
Okay.
when you don't have opposition. You know? Y'all have a great and safe evening and a happy holiday.
Same to you. Calling the next case, Full On Crafts, Eats, and Drinks, known as FO 2.0 LLC. This is Joseph Hospital, Managing Member, Beverly Hospital, Managing Member, Michelle Harris, Managing Member, Inspector Alan Levy. This is a new license located at 2478A Solomon's Island Road, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401. They're requesting Class B beer, wine, and Sunday license with outdoor dining. Anyone wishing to testify, raise your right hand, please. Anybody? Thank you. All right, leave your hands up. Do you solemnly declare that you are about to testify will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please state your name one at a time, sir.
I'll start. Joseph Hospital. I live at 44 Southgate Avenue. It's in Annapolis, 21401.
Thank you.
Beverly Hospital, 44 Southgate Avenue, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
Michelle Harris, 1018 Van Buren Street, Annapolis, Maryland, 21403.
Julie Harris, 1018 Van Buren Street, Annapolis, Maryland, 21403.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fraley.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harris. Mr. Dales, I understand before we begin this, you are amending, your clients are amending their application to seek a Class B beer, wine, and liquor as opposed to the Class B beer and wine license, which was applied for, correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Dales, we will turn it over to you. You know the drill. You can proceed by way of proffer or testimony or a combination of both.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members. Or thank you, Council, and good evening, Chairman and members of the board. We'll do a combination this evening of proffer and testimony. I'll start, in the interest of time, by proffering that the application materials that I know you've all received and reviewed addressing the standards for this license's issuance and approval are accurate, with the exception that Council just mentioned. And I'll also proffer that each of the applicant licensees is a fit and proper person to hold the license. And I'll conclude my initial proffer by saying that this is a unique concept, as you're going to hear, and is going to be an excellent addition to the restaurants in the Anne Arundel County and the Annapolis area specifically. And with that, I would ask Michelle Harris to turn on her microphone so I can begin with questions for her.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Michelle. Could you please restate your name and address for the board?
Michelle Harris, 1018 Van Buren Street, Annapolis, Maryland, 21403.
And you are a member of the LLC applicant listed on the liquor license, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and prior to issuance of the license, will you have alcohol awareness training, that is tip certification or another awareness training?
Yes.
And, thank you. And do you understand that regardless of whether you are yourself present for the day-to-day operations of the business, that you would be responsible for any violations under the license?
Yes.
Thank you. And do you understand generally the rules and regulations of the board and the rules of the state and county code related to the alcoholic beverage licenses in Arundel County?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Harris.
Thank you.
Okay, next I'll call Beverly Hospital.
Yes.
Can you slide the microphone over, Ms. Hospital, so we can hear you too? Or just switch seats a little bit. Scooch down just a bit so you can have the mic. All right, thank you. And can you state your name and address for the record?
Beverly Hospital, 44 Southgate Avenue, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
Thank you very much. And will you, prior to issuance, have alcohol awareness training before the issuance of the license funds?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And you also understand that whether you yourself are present and at the restaurant involved with its operations on a day-to-day basis, you would be responsible for any violations under the license if it's issued?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And you also have made yourself familiar and understand the rules and regulations of the board and the rules and regulations provided in the state and county code that relate to alcoholic beverage licenses?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Hospital, could you please state your name and address for the board?
Sure. Joseph Hospital, 44 Southgate Avenue, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
Okay, and like Beverly and Michelle, you are also a member of the LLC applicant, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. And are you TIPS trained, and will you be TIPS trained at the time that this license is issued?
Yes.
Okay, and you understand that whether you're present, you'll be responsible for violations under the license?
Yes.
And you understand and have familiarized yourself with the rules and regulations of the board and the rules provided in the state and county code?
Yes.
Okay, now, Mr. Hospital, would you please give the board a little background, just briefly, on the concept for this restaurant?
Gladly. So the name of our restaurant is Full On Craft Eats and Drinks. And the name comes from the fact that we make everything scratch in-house. We have one location open already in the Rockville-Olney area. It's been open for 7.5 years. And it's done very well. Sales have never gone down. So we're very excited to bring the concept to the Annapolis area, particularly where the location that we have applied for. We feature a lot of, I have to say, everything that we make in-house. So it's primarily sandwiches, some salads. We have 25 sandwiches, and some wings, desserts, but everything's scratch.
And can you tell us a little bit about the alcoholic beverages menu, Mr. Hospital?
Sure. So in our Rockville location, we are exclusively beer and wine at this point. So it's an kind of a complementary part of our concept, but we think it goes perfectly, and it really fills out our brand. We currently are doing about 20% of our sales in alcoholic beverages. So we're anticipating something similar in this location. It's a bigger location because we've done so well. We've outgrown the other location in Rockville. So we're expecting that it'll be a great complement to what we're offering.
And now, can you tell us a little bit about the layout that you've had designed and are seeking construction permits for and are under construction with now, just so the board has a sense of the layout of the very basic sense of the layout of the restaurant?
Sure. Hopefully you've seen the kind of the architectural design already, but there's two entrances into the building. We'll have a host stand where people are greeted. It's table service, and we'll have about a 16-seat bar. We will have outside seating when the weather permits, probably in the spring. I think we are seating all in, no more than 95. That's counting the outside. And inside is probably between 60 and 70 seats.
Okay, thank you. And what hours are you going to be serving customers?
We're going to be opening at 11:30 in the morning, and we'll close 9 during the week, 10 on weekends. So it's not a late night crowd. It's not really a college drinking crowd. We're not a sports bar. So it's just a place to go, have a casual place, have a great sandwich, and a beer or a glass of wine, or a mixed beverage.
Appreciate that. And can you tell us a little bit about your experience in the restaurant industry before I ask you about your ability to control this space and operate it in an efficient manner?
Sure, no, it's fair. So to keep this short, I started with the Marriott Corporation and retired from Marriott back in the 1990s. So I worked for them for over 20 years. We started our own concepts, a number of them, my wife and I, through the 90s and into the 2000s. So we have 40 plus years of experience, actually 50 years of experience in the restaurant business. And so we totally get it. We know how it works.
So with your experience and your employees' experience and within the layout you've had designed, are you confident that you can run an orderly business here and control any impacts of selling alcohol under this license?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And do you intend to make sure that at all times you or a manager who's present at the restaurant will be TIPS trained, alcohol awareness trained?
Our intent is for everybody on the floor will be TIPS trained and alcohol awareness trained.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And last, I want to ask about your confidence in the need for this license. What made you feel that this was a needed concept in Annapolis and specifically at this location?
So we moved to Annapolis about 6 years ago from the Montgomery County. And we like to go out to eat. And what we have seen in the Annapolis area is we present a very unique concept, just like we do in Montgomery County. There's really very few concepts that marry together the things that we do, which is the casual nature of the restaurant, the craft cooking with sandwich and featuring sandwiches. So, who doesn't like to go out and get a great sandwich? And our selection of beer, it's almost all Maryland beer, but we have a few nothing outside of the Mid-Atlantic. So we're keeping everything as local as we can. So, does that answer your question?
It does, thank you. And that actually will conclude the testimony. However, I want to make one more brief proffer here for the board before inviting questions. As to need, the application materials show the demographics and the license counts for this area, but I wanted to point out to the board that within a roughly 1.5 square mile area, there are 10 Class B licenses, and this is the Annapolis Town Center, where we as a county would like to direct commercial growth. But of those 10 licenses, 4 are hotels. 2 are winery-based restaurants, 3 are chain restaurants, and 1 is Gioliti Deli. So within those 10, there's no concept that's remotely like this one. We think this is unique for Anne Arundel County as a whole, but certainly for this town center area. It's the fastest growing population within the census tracts that surround this shopping center. And as I said, it's a town center where we want to focus growth, but even more than that, the recently adopted Plan 2040, which is our general development plan in this county, reemphasizes that desire to concentrate development in this Annapolis Town Center area. And so even more than we've already seen, we can expect population growth and commercial growth to be focused in this area, and that makes it, we think, perfect for an additional Class B license and this concept. So with that, thank you, Council and Mr. Chairman. We'll stop now for any questions you may have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dales. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I don't have any questions at this point, but a nice presentation.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
Yes, I do have a couple of questions. You stated that you're going to serve sandwiches, and I'm just trying to imagine what type of sandwich are you going to serve in reference to being fresh?
That's a great question, because that's exactly what we built our concept on. So everything is cooked in-house. So all of our roast beef, turkey, all the proteins are cooked in-house. All the sauces, all the dressings, everything is made from scratch in our kitchen. The sandwiches are mid-price range, which we really try to stay there because that allows us to be accessible to the entire market. So, food costs are going up, but everything we do, even our potato chips, we make them, you'll love them, we make them from scratch. So to partially answer your question, I hope, is that we are not just a fresh concept, we are a concept that has created sandwiches that really are unique. And because we make everything ourselves, really, it's proprietary. Nobody else has that. And we keep the prices, by doing this, we are able to keep the prices so that they're accessible.
Okay. And I must commend you on the fact that you're keeping everything local.
Yeah.
And so that means that you're going to hire local and everything else. So I appreciate the ingenuity.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have no other questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Duffy. Commissioner Snoops, any questions?
I have no questions.
Mr. Dales, anything you'd like to add?
No, Council, I appreciate the opportunity, but we'll conclude our presentation.
All right, thank you. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, where is the store in Montgomery County?
It's on the corner of Norbeck and Georgia Avenue, so it's 3 miles south of Olney. It's a Rockville address.
And you've been there, you said how many, 7 years?
7.5 years.
Okay. I don't have any other questions or comments. We ready to rock and
Turn it right back to you. I'm ready to put it to a...
I'll make a motion that we accept the new license as presented, and looking for a second.
I second the motion for the license.
The motion is seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Council.
Have a good holiday. Thank you very much.
See you guys. Have a good
Thank
holiday.
you, ladies and gentlemen. You're excused.
Thank you. Come and see us.
Yeah. Okay, next case, Green Turtle, known as Turtle Returns 1, LLC. Michael K. Wells, member, authorized person. The inspector will be Jason McCarthy. This is a new license at the location of 1407 South Main Chapel Way, Cambrils, Maryland 21054. This is a Class BLX, beer, wine, and liquor, entertainment and Sunday license with outdoor dining. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward and raise your right hand. Okay, do you solemnly declare to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
Michael Wells, 304 Songwood Court, Millersville, Maryland, 21108. Can you turn the mic on?
Do we need to repeat that, or?
Yeah, let's repeat it for the record just to make... Oh, you got it? Okay, great. Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Thomas Finn, 5207 Forest Meadow Court, Ellicott City, Maryland, 21043.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Praley?
All right, thank you, Inspector Harris. Mr. Good to see you. This is your opportunity to present your client's case to the board. Go right ahead by way of proffer or testimony or a combination of both.
Thank you, Mr. Praley. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, David F. Mr. Winter Bartlett, LLC, representing the applicants. I think we'll proceed by way of proffer and then answer, of course, any questions the board may have of my clients. With us tonight is the applicant, Mr. Wells, and also Mr. Finn, Tom Finn, who is the Vice President of Development for the Green Turtle Franchising Corporation. We also have back in the audience Shelley Collins, the Vice President for Human Resources for the Green Turtle Franchising Corporation. This new restaurant location, I know the board is familiar with the Green Turtle because we already have 3 extant locations in Anne Arundel County. But the reason it's called the Turtle Returns is because the Green Turtle used to be in the Wall Village Town Center originally. It left, and it's coming back. As I indicated, there's 3 existing Green Turtle licenses, Class B BWL licenses here. Mr. Wells has this year been approved as the new licensee for each of those locations. So he's already been recognized and approved by this board on 3 occasions. The reason, of course, we're applying for a new license at this time, we're going into a premises that was fitted out as a restaurant for a different tenant in Wall Chapel before. But they ended up closing. They relinquished their license. That license expired. Because of that, we're applying for this new license. In doing our due diligence and with the very able help of your competent administrators, we identified that we should be eligible for a BLX license license here. And of course, that's one of the things might be necessary for us to obtain this fourth license. We have submitted to the board substantial architectural plans and drawings. We also submitted a list of capital expenditures that we fully expect to spend, and we've contracted for, demonstrating approximately $1,080,000 in capital expenditures that will be expended at the location. That's in addition to what was some of the existing infrastructure there in that former restaurant premises. So they're putting a quite large capital investment in there to rehab this location. I suspect, or at least I hope, the board is familiar with Wall Chapel Town Center, very substantial regional shopping center with many, many anchor tenants, which attracts, I believe, customers and clients from all around the county and outside of Anne Arundel County. We anticipate, if the board were to approve this license, that we will have dining for approximately 250 people. We have requested outdoor dining privileges, which will seat about 50. The drawings probably show, but you can't tell just by looking at the drawing, there will definitely be control points to the outside dining area so that no one can bring alcohol on or take alcohol off the premises. There's actually going to be a wall surrounding that area, and there'll be 2 lift gates to allow ingress, egress, which to my experience, representing a lot of restaurateurs around the state, that's one of the more substantial control points that people have for the outdoor dining. It's certainly not like you see as the what's been allowed temporarily for COVID dining. We are going to have a policy and practice, as we do at all the restaurants, that all of the servers are going to be alcohol awareness trained. They are going to have a policy and practice that anyone who appears to be even 40 years of age or younger is going to have to present identification to acquire alcoholic beverages. They are going to have a policy and practice that anyone who appears to be visibly under the influence of alcoholic beverages will not be served alcoholic beverages. They anticipate their standard hours of operation will be from 11 a.m. to approximately 1:30 a.m. That's going to vary. It depends on if the clientele is there to deserve that, but they certainly are mindful that they can't be open beyond the restrictions of 2 a.m. and that obviously that it'd be closed. All customers have to be out of the premises before that time. And in their other operations, they get people out much earlier than that. They anticipate having 120 employees, so there'll be a substantial employer. They're going to have 1 general manager and 4 managers that will be working for them full-time, plus the overarching management that's going to come from the franchising corporation, represented by 2 of these gentlemen right here. Mr. Wells is an Anne Arundel County resident, and he has responsibility for all the Anne Arundel County restaurants, and will on a regular basis visit those restaurants and communicate with the management team on a frequent basis, if not daily, to make sure that they're following the law and policy and required practice. We have already started, and I know that might be presumptuous, but we're optimistic with the renovations. So they've already put in quite a bit of the capital investment to date. As a matter of fact, I'm told by Mr. Finn that they got a health department approval today.
Preliminary.
And so I hope that the board will consider them to be favorable candidates for an additional license. They, when they were previously at Wall Chapel, they had no violations whatsoever. And I believe the record's been excellent, at least since the time that I've been representing them here in Anne Arundel County. I also represent the landlord, Greenberg Gibbons, and they're very much looking forward to having Green Turtle franchises as part of their tenant mix. And actually, they're pursuing additional relationships in some of the other town centers that Greenberg Gibbons has developed around the metropolitan area, including a couple of our centers in Baltimore County and in other locations. So we'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have about any of the application documents that have been pre-filed or anything that I've said this evening.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mister. Mr. Chairman, any questions?
Yeah, I do. When do you plan to open? Yeah,
Mid-January
mid-January?
is our target.
Just for curiosity, there was a green turtle there in that shopping center for a number of years, and I would have thought it was extremely successful. Then it went out and changed its name, and I was just curious as to how that all worked out.
It was very successful. It was operated by one of our franchisees. They ran it for the period of the original franchise agreement term, which is 10 years.
Okay.
And then they made a business decision to develop a private brand restaurant at that location. That's why the change of brand. That's what happened.
So you're moving in...
We're going to go to the Houlihan space, which is inside at the end of the...
Sure. I know exactly.
In front of Dick's and the movie theater and the Wegmans.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, historically, Green Turtle had both franchisees and company-owned stores. I think the concept now we're working on moving strictly to company-owned stores.
Strictly, but a balance right now as we continue to develop the brand in a modern way, as well as we exit COVID. We think it's important that we develop company stores before we ask franchisees to invest in our business.
Great.
Additionally, and actually, the stores that are in Anne Arundel County, I think all of them are company corporate stores. So Edgewater is a corporate store, BWI, and Hanover.
Great, thank you. No other questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
Yes, I have just one question. You had stated that, your attorney had stated that you had a capacity of 250 seatings on the inside, plus the additional 50 seats outside. So we are talking at a capacity of 300 people now?
That's a rough estimate, but I think it's a little under 300, yeah, including outside.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Snoops, any questions?
I have no other questions. No.
Mister, anything you'd like to add?
No, happy to answer any questions the board has. Just ask that the board consider giving us at least preliminary approval of this application, subject to usual and customary checklist items to be completed.
All right, thank you. All right, well, with that, we'll turn it over to the board. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I just have one comment on the outside dining. It seemed to have a very good security area there, and that's going to be pretty important, I think, in that area particularly. People aren't coming in and out of that outside area first. So
we agree, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, good. So I'll make a motion that we grant the new license to the Green Turtle, and ask for a second.
I second the motion.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Okay, thank you. Next case, Hilton Garden Inn, known as Hilton Suites of Hanover, Inc. Angela Lee LeGrand, Assistant Secretary, Suzanne Lorraine Shope, Secretary, Dean Joseph Mannernock, President. Inspector is Alvin Few. This is a new license location of 7491 New Ridge Road, Hanover, Maryland, 21076. The class is a HMR, Hotel Motel Restaurant Complex license. Anyone wishing to testify, raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly declare under the under the penalties to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
My name is Angela LeGrand. I'm at 7. Angela LeGrand, 7978 Fern Road, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21061.
Okay, thank you.
Suzanne Shope, 1710 Usher Place, Crofton, Maryland, 21114.
Dean Matronak, 2335 Angel Road, Sunfish Lane, Minnesota, 55118.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fraley.
All right, thank you, Inspector Harris. Mr. Deloach, good to see you this evening. This is your opportunity to present your client's case to the board. You can do so by way of proffer or testimony or a combination of both.
Thank you, Counselor. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jason Deloach. I'm the attorney for the applicant. That's Deloach for the record. I'm going to be doing our presentation by way of proffer today. As discussed easily here, we have the three licensees, Dean Joseph Monadnock, Angela Lila Grand, and Suzanne Shope. They applied for an HMR license on behalf of Hilton Garden Inn. All licensees have been provided with a copy of the board's rules and regulations. The hotel is located at 7491 New Ridge Road in Hanover, that is near the Arundel Mills Mall. This is the old Live Loft Hotel that was previously licensed by this board, HMR license. So this license has been, this location has been previously licensed. The hotel currently has a restaurant and a bar. It also has a cafe that will be serving beer and wine. The restaurant is a full-service restaurant. It sells steaks, pasta, salmon, not just burgers and fries. It's a full-blown restaurant. As previously stated, it also has a cafe that will serve beer and wine for its guests. There is a pool and a banquet hall on the premises. The hotel currently has 37 employees, 20 of which will serve alcohol and will all be TIPS trained. In fact, Ms. LeGrand is a certified TIPS trainer. So she will be conducting the trainings for all of the staff and obviously be a resource for them moving forward if they have any questions about the liquor laws. I just want to point out that there will be no room service for alcohol. Represents several hotels, and that is a concern for some boards. Anyone who wants to get alcohol will have to go to the bar, personally get it, or go to the cafe to personally get it. There will not be any room service, alcohol room service. You can't call down to the restaurant and have it delivered. You have to personally go there, be vetted, carded, whatever is needed to make sure that you qualify to get an alcoholic beverage. The board should be very comfortable with these licensees. As I indicated earlier, Ms. LeGrand is a certified TIPS trainer, so she is very familiar with the liquor laws in Maryland. Dean Monadnock is very experienced in alcohol. He's on several other hotel licenses in Prince George's County. I currently serve as the board's attorney in Prince George's County, and I previously represented them before the liquor board in getting the hotel licenses, and Mr. Monadnock has been on a license for hotels for several years, so he's very familiar with the process. And Ms. Shope is going to be on the premises for 35 to 40 hours per week, so you will have a licensee pretty much there all the time on the premises. And as for the location, I think that the board should be comfortable with the location. It doesn't provide any problems of traffic, parking. Again, it was previously licensed by this board with the Live Lofts Hotel, and there has not been any changes to the surrounding community or to the premises. So I think the location itself should be something that the board is comfortable with. That would be my presentation. If the board has any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Deloach. Mr. Chairman, any questions?
Yeah. Just a couple. What was the name of the previous?
Live Lofts.
Live,
Live,
Okay.
Lofts.
Gotcha. Live Lofts. And when do you plan to open?
Oh, they're open.
They're open.
Yep.
Okay. No other questions?
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Snoops?
No questions.
Mr. Deloach, anything you'd like to add before it goes to the board for deliberation and decision?
That will be our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman?
I'll make a motion that we grant the new license for the Hilton Garden Inn and ask for a second.
I second the motion.
Second motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The next case, Los Chaparitos, known as Bellows Company, LLC, Ricardo Bello Serrano, managing member, Ricardo Bello Alvarado, Jr. as a member, Sean Hicks, member, and inspector is Mark Mucklebauer. This is a new license located at 3029 Solomon's Island Road, Edgewater, Maryland, 21037. This is a Class H license for beer, wine, and liquor entertainment with restricted to multiple TVs only and Sunday license. Anyone wishing to testify, please raise your right hand. Okay, do you solemnly declare that you're about to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, please state your name and address for the record. Yes, please. Turn your microphone on, sir. Button. Yes. Very good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Ricardo Velo Serrano, Tuton Court, Annapolis, Maryland, 21403.
Ricardo Bay Alvarado, 122 Hearn Court, apartment 103, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401. 21401, sorry. Sean Hicks, 1658 Woodtree Court East, Annapolis, Maryland, 21409.
John Ariston, 707 Glendon Avenue, Annapolis, 21403.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fraley?
All right, thank you, Mr. Harris. Ms. Palmer, good to see you this evening. This is your opportunity to present your case to the board. You can do so by way of proffer, testimony, combination of both.
Again, thank you, Mr. Fraley. My name is Barbara Palmer. I'm with the law firm of Hyatt and Weber. I am here to primarily present by proffer the application. I understand you have the packet before you for those companies LLC. I also have with us John Arison, who is probably familiar to all of you of the board. He is our expert. Just in case there are any questions about the need for this license at this location, we felt out of an abundance of caution that we didn't want to leave any stone unturned, and we can fully inform the board that, in fact, this is an appropriate location for the requested license. For the applicants, I primarily intend to proceed by proffer. You will see that in the packet, we have information on all three of our applicants, and you will see that we have excellent applicants for your consideration for this location. The location was previously a Mexican-styled restaurant. It was called Plazula's, and it is over the the Edgewater Bridge, located in Edgewater. That business was successful. It did go out of business, generally COVID-related, as we understand it, in December of 2020. Although this could have been a simpler matter, simply to be considered as a transfer of a license, the seller, who was frustrated at his circumstances, was not interested in doing the transfer of the license. So we're here for a new license, but the background being, with this same location having a successful business in the past with a Mexican restaurant, this concept restaurant is a Latin restaurant as well. It has been opened since August of this year. And Mr. Ricardo Bello Serrano can testify to the need for this location for the alcoholic beverage license that we seek. A number of, he would testify that perhaps as high as 75% of the individuals who come there are interested in being able to enjoy a beer or a margarita or a drink along that line that would go along with the food that is enjoyed by the customers that is on the menu. So the individuals that are here, the applicants, Mr. Serrano, his son, Ricardo Bello Alvarado Jr., they both have long histories in the restaurant business in the Annapolis area. Mr. Serrano worked at Carroll's Creek. His son has worked at Grapes. And Mr. Hicks, who is the other applicant, is in fact a police officer. in Anne Arundel County, and they all have undergone the alcohol training. I have their certificates here with me, and I would like to present them to the board as part of our presentation. Mr. Hicks is our resident property owner. We have supplied his voter and tax information, and all are aware of the responsibilities that go along with the request for this license. And they all have had taken the time and the opportunity to review the alcohol beverage laws of the county and take very seriously the responsibilities that are set forth with the license. So I have provided, and I know you've reviewed the packet, the vicinity map. I would also point out that along with the fact that this this business previously had an alcohol license, it has a bar. It is set up inside for a bar. There's absolutely no use of the bar at this point in time, but they look forward for the opportunity to be able to use that part of the restaurant that is already set up in this fashion. The restaurant has, as I mentioned, been operating since August. It had been the desire of the operators to be able to get before you prior to now to actually make the restaurant as profitable and successful as they would like it to be, and they are very pleased that they were accommodated to be part of the schedule today. We were even concerned that we would be delayed even sooner, so I wanted to thank the staff and the board to allow the accommodation for us to be part of the hearing here today. Let's see. I do also have with me, and I will present the affidavit of posting and photographs of the posted sign, along with those the completion of the certificates of completion for the alcohol awareness training. So with that, I would turn to Mr. Arison and ask if he could present his information based upon his research and to support the need for the license and the appropriateness of this location for the requested license.
Do you want to qualify me first? Or?
I would like you to state, yes, your qualifications to the board, unless they would like to waive qualifications because of their awareness of your background.
Are you okay with
Should we proceed?
Mr. Chairman, are you okay with us waiving Mr. Arison's qualifications, or would you like to vote? He's testified before this board as an expert on
No, we're fine. Yeah,
You're fine?
we'll waive qualifications.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Okay. And Mr. Arison, are you familiar with the site of the applicant's restaurant at
Yes.
3029 Solomon's Island?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you're aware of the zoning of the property?
Yes, it's C3 General Commercial.
Okay. And have you analyzed the number and location of existing licenses in this area?
Yes, using the map that you all have on your website, which is very helpful. It's sort of a mixed bag of restaurants. There's Saigon Palace, Adams Grill, Edgewood Restaurant, just kind of up and down Route 2 and Mayo Road. And what I found is there's no Latin restaurant down there with a liquor license, except for if you go down Central Avenue, there's an establishment called the Broadneck Grill and Cantina, and seeing the word cantina, I thought, well, let me see if that's going to be similar to what Los Chaparitos is having. It's mostly American food with some Latin food, so it's quite a bit different from this particular restaurant in this application.
So, in your opinion, what impacts would you be aware of, if any, if the license is granted?
Yeah, I don't believe there would be any.
Okay. And were you aware that there was a prior restaurant in this location
Yes.
called Lazulos, and that they closed in December of 2020?
I wasn't sure when they closed, but I was aware of the restaurant.
Okay, very good. And so you have generally familiarized yourself with the type of restaurant establishment that this group is operating here, and that the benefits that the requested license would provide?
Yes, I downloaded their menu and went over that, and You typically, when you walk into a Latin restaurant now, there's two things that catch your eyes right away. There's a big margarita glass sitting there waiting for you if you want it, and there's usually a soccer game on TV. So I think that this restaurant will be unique down on Route 2. I believe that if you want Latin food and you're on the other side of the South River, you have to drive all the way up almost into Annapolis to find the next restaurant with similar type of food as this.
So do you see that there is therefore a public need for this license at this location?
Yes.
Okay, and do you think that there will be an impact on the general health, safety, and welfare of the community as a result of a grant of a license for this location?
No, I mean, there was a restaurant there before. There's some residences behind it, but they've got a stockade fence, and then there's a road, so it's well buffered from, the residents are well buffered from the back of this establishment, so there's not going to be excessive noise or anything like generated that's going to disturb the peace.
And you've acknowledged, or when you took a look at the zoning map, were you aware that this property is completely surrounded with other C3 uses?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Except for behind where it's residential.
It's not immediately adjacent to the property line, is it?
There's an intervening road.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so do you think that this operation with a liquor license will have any impact on the peace of those residing in the neighborhood behind them, or that their peace will be disturbed?
No.
Okay. Do you see it as generating any issues that might affect the crime in the area?
No.
Okay. And are you familiar with the provisions of the alcohol beverage article 1102, which allows playing of recorded music and the use of several televisions?
Yes.
And does this application comply with all of the provisions of the requested license that we have?
I believe it will.
Okay. And that would be our presentation for the board. If the board has any questions for the applicants or anything else I could add.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Palmer. Mr. Chairman, any questions?
Yeah, I was just curious what impact the fact that you're getting a liquor license will have on your business. Any feeling for that?
What impact? Well, it's going to increase the business, because right now, like you say, we are losing at like 70% of the business. A lot of customers, when they get in, they sit and they say, I want a margarita. No, we don't have. They just walk out. Okay. So we really need it.
All right. No other questions?
Commissioner Duffy?
Yes, I have one question. You indicated that it didn't have an impact upon the community and all, but I need to know, as well as the board, does it have an impact upon the other liquor stores within the area?
No, because if you want Latin food, you'll come to this restaurant. If you want a burger, you might go down to Burger or something like that. So this won't impact the other restaurants. It's just going to add another opportunity, another type of cuisine that's going to be available to the Edgewood area in South County.
And also you stated that the safety and the welfare of the community wouldn't have no impact upon that.
No, I don't believe it will. I mean, right next door to it's a Dunkin' Donuts, which generates quite a bit of business, and that doesn't seem to have any.
But they don't sell alcohol.
No, but this is a standalone restaurant that previously had a license. It's not connected to anything else. Their parking lot is their parking lot. It's not like in the shopping centers across the street. So they won't have a negative impact.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Okay. Commissioner Snoops, any questions?
I have no questions.
All right, Ms. Palmer, anything you'd like to add before we turn it over to the board?
No, I would simply emphasize that we are not aware, and I believe Mr. Arison, that we had no information that the Plazula's restaurant that closed less than 12 months ago had any negative impact or complaints related to their operation, so we'd have no expectation that Los Chaparitos, and frankly, they've been operating, as I say, for the past 5 months or so at this point in time. Now, of course, they don't have a liquor license at this point in time, but we see no basis for any concern that the grant of this license would have any negative impact on the community. And with the history that there was one there before, I believe this board could proceed with confidence that no negative impact would result. And not only that, we have educated operators that have a history in the restaurant business, restaurants with alcohol beverage licenses, and we have a police officer who is our resident licensee. So I believe that that should instill the board with a high level of confidence that you're dealing with responsible individuals who are adequately positioned and responsibly positioned to honor the rules and regulations of the board and carry out their responsibilities here admirably.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer. Anything else from the board? Mr. Chairman?
It's in my hands. Then I will proceed with confidence. And I will make a motion that we grant the new license. And I look for a second.
I would second the granting of the new license.
Second, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. Congratulations. Good luck.
And thank you so much.
Okay, thank you and have a good evening. Okay, the next case, Los Paceros Sports Bar and Grill, known as Los Paceros Corporation. Anthony M. Rayo, President, Treasurer. Gary L. Alvarado, Secretary and Vice President. James R. Gilbert, Assistant Secretary. The inspector is Jacqueline Alsop. This is a new license for 7089 Baltimore Annapolis Boulevard, Suite C, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21061. This is a Class H license for beer, wine, and liquor with dancing and Sunday license privileges. Anyone wishing to testify, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly declare to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
This one. Okay. Anthony Rayo, 6452 Washington Square, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21061.
Gary Alvarado, 12851 Noteland Castle Drive, Bristol, Virginia, 20136.
James Gilbert, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 6607 Rapid Waterway, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21060.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Praley.
All right. Thank you, Inspector Harris. Counsel, this is your opportunity to present your case to the board. You can do so by way of proffer or testimony or a combination of both.
Good. Thank you, Mr.
Oh, boy.
Can I?
You might want to use the one.
Do I need to use it? Yeah, you're good. Okay. No.
Yeah, turn all the other ones off.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
They're controlling the scene over here, so.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. My name is Erin McAuliffe. I'm an attorney at the law firm McNamee Hosey, representing the applicants tonight. If I could briefly, actually, we do have two requests to amend the application that was submitted. Mr. Gary Alvarado does have a license in Virginia, and also Mr. Anthony Rayo has moved in the time since the application was submitted, so we'll be
Okay, and
requesting.
That's fine. The address that Mr. Rayo gave for the record, is that his current address?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you. If I may proffer briefly.
Sure.
Okay, so this is an application for Los Paceros Sports Bar and Grill. We understand that this location formerly had a restaurant by the name of Birdcage Sports Bar, which it is our understanding, we're not certain, closed due to COVID, maybe as a victim of COVID. We think the idea that the Birdcage Sports Bar brings to the area is unique and will be successful at that location. And I'd like to start with Mr. Alvarado, if I may. Mr. Alvarado. We're here on an application for a new Class H beer, wine, and liquor plus Sunday permit music and dancing license for Los Paceros Corp., trading as Los Paceros Sports Bar and Grill, located at 7089 Baltimore Annapolis Road Boulevard, Suite C, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21061. If you may, please state your name and address again for the record.
Yeah, of course. Gary Alvarado, 12851 North Castle Drive, Bristol, Virginia, 20136.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarado. Are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, I am.
Have you ever been convicted of a felony?
No, I
His mic's not on.
There we go.
Have you ever been found guilty of violating the laws governing the sale of alcoholic beverages or for the prevention of gambling in the state of Maryland, or found guilty of any offenses against the laws of the United States?
No, I have not.
Thank you. Have you ever had a license for the sale of alcoholic beverages revoked?
No.
Have you ever held a license for the sale of alcoholic beverages?
Yes.
And where is
It's located in Tysons, Virginia.
what is the establishment?
It is called Uncle Juan's Restaurant.
Thank you. Do you own any other businesses in Anne Arundel County with an alcoholic beverage license?
No, I do not.
What is your position with Los Paceros?
I'm a 49% stockholder and vice president.
Do you have a copy of the rules and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County?
Yes, I do.
Have you reviewed those rules and regulations?
Yes, of course.
Do you understand those rules and regulations?
Yes.
If this application is approved, will you make certain that all employees comply with all the laws and regulations relating to license?
Yes.
Okay. Have you received alcohol awareness training?
Yes, I have.
And did you bring the certificate of completion with you tonight?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. What will be the hours of operation of Los Paceros Sports Bar and Grill?
It'll be from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., Monday through Sunday.
Okay. How old do you have to be before you can purchase beer, wine, and liquor? Or liquor?
21.
What age must an employee be to sell beer, wine, or liquor?
18 for waitress or waiter.
And how old for bartenders?
21.
Okay, thank you. What are the 5 acceptable forms of identification?
It's the NVA license, driver license, military ID, the green card, and the U.S. Passport.
Thank you. And how long are you required to keep complete records of purchases and sales of food and beer, wine, and liquor?
2 years.
Okay. Do you have any changes other than the change we briefly discussed prior to this questioning to the application that has been filed?
No.
Thank you. Do you understand that a licensee for this license, you have obligations to the board to accept summonses and respond to any inquiry regarding the operation of Los Paceros Sports Bar and Grill?
Yes.
Do you accept those responsibilities?
Of course, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarado.
Thank you.
I'm going to show you photos that I believe were previously submitted by Mr. Kim from my office to the board. Are these photos of the inside of the establishment?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They are, yes.
And if you could briefly describe the exterior and interior of the sports bar and grill.
Well, the location is it's a family-friendly restaurant. Of course, we're going to have it's a sports bar where you can have special drinks and stuff like that. We've done a lot of inside renovation, painting, seats, tables, chairs, stuff like that. We're excited. We're very excited to see if we can get this open.
Could you briefly describe the menu?
Yeah, of course. Menu is Tex-Mex type of menu, just like the other restaurant I have. As well, we're going to add some Colombian plates as well. So something different to the Tex-Mex concept. And
Like what types of dishes?
It'll be their Spanish names. Is that okay?
Sure.
Oh, I'll give you some of the Tex-Mex. It's sopa de res, sopa de mondongo, and if it's Colombia, it'll be bandeja paisa, empanadas. So a little different ones.
Okay, thank you. And I believe our understanding as representing to the board is that the Birdcage Sports Bar and Grill had operated out of this location for a number of years. We understand that we think it was because of COVID that they closed. Have you received potential support from local residents and potential patrons?
Yeah, of course, constantly. There's always the other tenants, coming to swing by saying, hello, when are you guys going to open? Showing their support, as well as we're showing them support as well. So yes, of course.
So people have stopped by?
They have definitely stopped by trying to come in, see
Okay.
if we're open, yes.
Okay. And what is the anticipated number of employees that you all intend to have?
Roughly between 12 to 15 employees.
Okay. And you guys have done a lot of work already on renovations. Approximately how much have you spent on those renovations?
Roughly between 50 to 60.
Okay.
50 to 60,000, yes.
All right. And do you have any reason to believe that the issuance of this license will unduly disturb the peace and quiet of any surrounding neighborhood areas?
No.
Okay. Thank you. And much more briefly, if I may ask Mr. Rayo, can you please state your name and address again for the record?
Anthony Rayo, 6452 Washington Square, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21061.
Okay, thank you. And are you a resident of Anne Arundel County?
Yes,
Okay. And how long have you been a resident of Anne Arundel County?
6 months.
Okay, thank you. And have you ever had a license for sale of alcoholic beverages revoked?
No,
Have you ever held a license for the sale of alcoholic beverages?
no,
Do you own any other businesses in Anne Arundel County with an alcoholic beverage license?
no.
What is your position with Los Paceros Corporation?
49% stockholder and president.
Okay. Do you have a copy of the rules and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County?
Yes,
Have you reviewed those rules and regulations?
yes,
Do you understand those rules and regulations?
yes,
Okay. If this application is approved, will you make certain that all employees comply with the laws and regulations relating to the license?
yes,
Have you received alcohol awareness training?
yes,
Okay, and you brought that certificate with you tonight?
yes.
Thank you. And what age must an employee be to sell beer, wine, or liquor?
18 for a waiter, waitress, and 21 for the bartender.
Okay. And then what are the 5 forms of acceptable identification?
Military ID, green card, state ID, driver's license, and U.S. passport.
Okay. And do you have any changes to the application that's been filed aside from your change in address that we briefly discussed prior?
No,
Okay, thank you. And do you understand that as a licensee for this license, you have obligations to the board to accept summonses and respond to any inquiry regarding the operation of Los Paceros Sports Bar and Grill?
yes,
And you agree to accept those responsibilities?
yes,
Okay. Aside from what Mr. Alvarado just explained to the board regarding the concept and the menu that you all intend to, the food you intend to serve, do you have anything else to add regarding what we're excited about with the concept? And
we're really excited. My family's from Colombia, so there's not a lot of Colombian food places around the area. Well, Glen Burnie just really doesn't have that many spots that you can go get a drink, a nice plate of food. I lived in Glen Burnie for about 10 years before I sold my house, and luckily I was able to invest in this restaurant. And I just want to bring like good vibes to the people, good environment, like I said, so they can maybe know like what the Colombian food tastes like, and just watch a good soccer game, bring your family and have a good time.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. And do you have any concerns regarding any disruption of the peace to any surrounding
No,
area?
not at all.
Okay, thank you. And if I may, Mr. Gilbert, can you please state your name and address for the record again?
My name is James Gilbert. James Gilbert. I live in 6607 Rapid Water Way, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21060.
Okay. And are you a resident of Anne Arundel County?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Have you ever had a license for the sale of alcoholic beverages revoked?
No.
Have you ever held a license for the sale of alcoholic beverages?
No.
Okay. What is your position with Los Paceros Corporation?
2% stockholder and a secretary.
Okay. Okay. Do you have a copy of the rules and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County?
Yes.
Okay. Have you reviewed those rules and regulations and do you understand them?
Yes.
If this application is approved, will you make certain that all employees comply with all of the laws and regulations relating to the license?
Yes.
And what will be the hours of operation? I think we went over previously, but how many days a week will the restaurant be open?
It's a Monday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Okay. And what age must an employee be to sell beer, wine, or liquor?
18 for waiter and waitresses and 21 for bartender.
Thank you. And do you have any changes to the application that has been filed?
No.
Okay. Do you understand that as a licensee for this license, you have obligations to the board to accept summonses and respond to any inquiry regarding Los Paceros Sports Bar and Grill?
Yes.
Do you accept those responsibilities?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I don't have any further voir dire of my clients. If you turn it over to the board.
Great, thank you, counsel. Mr. Chairman, any questions?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Duffy?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Snoops, any questions?
No questions.
Counsel, anything you'd like to add before we turn it over to the board for deliberation and decision? Counsel, anything else you'd like to add? No, it's all right. Anything else you'd like to add?
I apologize. No, thank you for your
Okay.
time, and we
Sure.
request the application be granted.
Absolutely. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we grant the license, and I'm looking for a second.
I second the motion.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Good luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next case, last case, is Tuscan Prime Italian Chop House and Dolce Bar.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Brown.
you, Mr. Brown. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please come forward. Raise your right hand. Okay. Do you solemnly declare to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please state your name and addresses for the record.
Gennaro Mayo, 211 Norwood Road, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
Hi, good evening. Michelle DeMayo, 211 Norwood Road, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Brown, turn it over to you. You can present your client's case by way of testimony, proffer, or combination of both.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. If you have no objection, I'll do it by way of proffer and about what is going on in this restaurant. We are talking about the old location of Paladar, if you remember, at the town center. Right across from where Gordon Biersch was, and one of the restaurants that is cleared out. We lost a couple in there lately because of COVID and some other reasons. Paladar closed down because they closed all the restaurants that they owned except for one. They have taken it over, and they're putting in an Italian restaurant, Tuscan Prime Italian. The individuals here are qualified. They are both on another Class H license. They have one. They each have one in their name right now. This is a tortured application. If you remember, it came in originally as an H, then their prior council moved it to a B. When I came back in, I moved it back to an H to make it simple to qualify within the rules. That's why when the last people testified, when they said that they understood the rules and regulations, then they're doing a better job than I am, because I'm having some difficulty every so often understanding some of them. But we're not going to go that far. Mr. DeMayo has over 30 years of experience in the restaurant business. Ms. DeMayo has around 15 years of experience in the restaurant business. They own, and they have a Squisito, as you may know. They own Carpaccio's downtown Annapolis and other restaurants in it. But as to the county, they have two Class H licenses that they're involved in. This restaurant is 8,000 square feet. They put over $1 million in improvements into this restaurant. It will be roughly 240 seats, including indoor and outdoor. They have a large bar area area in there. They have service. They will employ between 60 and 70 people. The license was there for a long time before. This license, they're going to have the same basic hours of operation. They tend to open by 11, but some days, depending on the clientele what comes in, they may open at 8 or 9 in the morning. Their normal hours will be closing at 10 to midnight, but they will be open till 2, depending on what happens. It's not a bar as such. It's not a nightclub as such. It is a first-class operation of a restaurant. We have provided you with the application. I've moved that be admitted as an exhibit. We've also provided you with the posting of the property. We sent that picture in a while back on it. I'd ask that be considered. We've also provided you with just about all the documents we need for picking up the license. The last one I sent over today was the special tax permit application that we filed, which I still don't understand if they're not issuing them, but that's beside the point. So I'm not sure what information you want. We even submitted a menu, because the last time I was here, Mr. Duffy asked me for a menu from one of my places, and I didn't do it. So I remember what Mr. Duffy wanted, so I brought it in. I didn't want him to be upset with no menu, and we sent you a copy of one, and this one here has prices on it, so I'm not going to show you this. I'd prefer to give you the one without the prices on it, so you have it up there. You have qualified applicants before you tonight. You have individuals who between the two of them have 45 years of experience running restaurants. As you know, what they've been in front of you before on things like that, they are not people who violate on a regular basis or violate at all. They run good operations, they employ good people, and they are here before you tonight. We've reviewed all the requirements under section, I always forget the number, 4210, okay, which talks about the public need, the number and location. We believe we fit into all those classifications, and under the grounds for denial of license application, we don't believe there are any grounds that it should be denied upon. I would ask you to approve this application, accept all the documentation we provided, and we're prepared to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Chairman, any questions?
No questions, but I think in future, Mr. Brown, you're here before the group many times. And in lieu of the menu, hors d'oeuvres would be nice.
We can take. How do I email those?
There you go. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
No other questions.
Commissioner Duffy, any questions?
I have no question.
Thank you.
Commissioner Snoops, any questions?
No questions.
Mr. Brown, anything else you'd like to add?
We rest.
I make a motion that we grant the license, and I look for a second.
I second the license.
The license seconded. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations and good luck.
Could I see the menu?
Thank you very much. Yes, you can. It's right here. But let me tell you, I did send Miss
Inspectors. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I sent Miss Hagner a note earlier today.
I'm going to ask the inspectors to hold off before leaving.
Yeah,
please.
At this point, Mr. Brown, I'm going to call the. I'm going to end the hearing. So.
And we are done.
It is closed.
Thank you.
Go off the record. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Holiday.